Hello, it's me, and I'm going through some of the puzzles that I unboxed and looking at some of the solves. So I'm going to turn my attention to this Professor Hexamink's Prism, or Hex Prism, in that it's a six-sided prism puzzle, and it's a professor version of it, which means it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 perhaps? Well, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is like a 5 by 5. So the 5 layered versions are professor versions. So how to get through this? Well, the only issue that I have right now with the puzzle, first off, the puzzle is fantastic. It turns really, really well. But in order for me to really go through a proper solve of this, and before doing the professor, I usually would want to do the straight 3 by 3 version of it, and then follow that with the master version, and then professor. Because of the difficulty it is in getting these puzzles, it just so happened that I couldn't get my hands on a 3 by 3 version of the hex puzzle, the hexagonal prism puzzle. I could only get my hands on the master version, rather the professor version. So what I'm going to do is this. Before embarking on the entire scramble of this, I'm only going to do a 3 by 3 scramble of this, which means I'm going to move these together, and I'm going to move these together. Once I've done that, then I'll move on to the professor version of this. So this demonstration right now is going to pretend like this is the 3 by 3 version. And the good thing about having this is it's like I have that puzzle as well. And then I'm going to work through the more complicated version of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a scramble just using the 3 layered versions of this and see if I can work out a solve. So before working out a solve of this, and I haven't really looked too in depth, we want to characterize what kind of a puzzle this is. It's a professor hexagonal prism, but what exactly does that mean? Well, what it means is if I make 90-degree turns over here, I can't continue. So basically, I do 180-degree turns in this axis, and I can do smaller increments of turns in this axis over here. Actually, I'm going to be moving it like this and like this. So what that tells me is that I'm going to have to make use of cuboid strategies to generate algorithms. Those are more difficult. It's more difficult for me to generate 2R strategies, but they're going to be variations of 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. Basically, that's the basic way of moving things around. So again, I'm only going to be moving here and here, here and here all around the puzzle. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. So when looking at that, we can see that I've isolated the movements of these 3. So if nothing else, I can 3-cycle these 3 like that. However, I don't like to do that because when it comes to cuboids, I like to do layer by layer solves. So I only want to know how to move things around on the last layer. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. So if this were a cuboid, oh, that would be easy because I can do corner swaps. I can do a corner swap here, then I can do edge swaps. I've got a feeling that's not going to work with this. What I generally do is I put the corners in first, and then I put the edges in. So if I were to demonstrate that on this 2, 4, 8 puzzle here, this sort of higher order AI cube, getting more into this a little bit later, if I were to do a corner swap, that would be a 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, and turn the puzzle, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. And turn this back. So what I've done is, in essence, corner swap these guys over here. And the question is, how can I apply this to here? If I wanted to say swap these 2 corners, could I do that? Would that actually work? And I suspect not, but that's one basic algorithm of corner swapping. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, turn the puzzle, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and that gets this back. Neat little puzzle. Anyway, an AI nightmare. But what about the edges? Well, the edges, there's adjacent edge swaps and opposite edge swaps. That's 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R. Well, how am I going to do that here? Well, can I swap this edge with this? By doing maybe because it's hexagonal, it's 6 sides here instead of 4, just do it twice the amount of time. 2R. Yeah, see, that's not going to work because if I did a 2R, 3U, 1, 2, 3, 2R, 3u, 2r, 3u. So you can see these all stayed the same. I've got placement here, and this whole unit swapped. I don't think that's going to serve me well. So my thinking is this. Instead of 2r, 2u, 2r, 2u, 2r, 2u, which is how you'd go about doing opposite edge swaps, instead of doing that, what if I were to make it go around the puzzle 3 times? So I'm going to take this over here and go 2r, 2u, then another 2r, 2u, that's bringing that to here, and do it once more, 2r, 2u, and then 2r to bring it back. And now another 2u. So what did I do? Well, I moved this green one to here, this red one to here, this pink one to here. So I did the same concept of edge swapping, doing 2r, 2u, 2r, 2u, 2r, 2u, but I had to keep going all the way around, and what it didn't do, it did not cause misplacement over here. So now I have a way of swapping these guys here. And very similarly to what we saw with the Titan star, just like in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided puzzle, these 3 scrambled with each other, these 3 scrambled with each other. Well, so too, these are moving with each other as well, so you can imagine a star-like configuration between here and here. So there's almost like a hexagonal star pattern here. So let's do it again. This pink should come to here, this green to here, and this red to here. 2r, 2u, 2r, 2u, 2r, 2u, 2r, 2u, and it did. Once more, she'll bring it back. And the good news about this is now I have an algorithm. So now I know what I need to do to move these in. What about these corners? So these corners are going to be a little more difficult. Let's see what happens if we do what appears to maybe be an adjacent edge swap. 2r, u, corner swap rather, 2r, ui, 2r, then we'll go ui, d, 2r, ui, 2r, u, 2r, and move this back. So it did not affect the bottom layer, which is good, but look what it did here. Nothing of what I wanted it to do. Apparently what it did is this stayed the same, and this stayed the same. So these 2 opposite ones stayed the same. These 4 all rotated. This purple one went here, this green one, green and red, or green and orange rather, went here, this pink and blue went here, this red and blue one here. So basically we had a 4 cycle, here to here, here to here, here to here, and here to here. That's not going to be very useful to me. That's too many pieces moving. If I can move 3, that would be great. So let's move it back. 2r, u, 2r, ui, 2r, turn, turn, 2r, ui, 2r, u, 2r, and move this back. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just kind of experiment with what's going to happen. Well, because it was a 4 cycle, I have to move it yet again. 2r, ui, 2r. This really does turn very smooth. Very addicting puzzle. 2r. And of course, being a 4 cycle, one more should bring it all back. 2r, u, 2r, ui, 2r. Turn, turn. Sometimes you'll find that a similar algorithm will have other effects that are useful to you. It's happened to me many times, but right now that corner swap is not going to be useful the way it is. So when confronted with that, do I really want to generate a completely different algorithm, or do I want to vary the algorithm that I did? Well, if that corner swap, what I thought was a corner swap, kept these 2 the same, this one to here, this one to here, this one to here, this one to here, what if I were to do an algorithm inside an algorithm? What that means is, let's take that adjacent corner swap and let's combine that with another corner swap midway through. In doing so, what I might do is, instead of causing 4 to swap, just cause 2 to swap. Now here's what I mean by that. I'm going to start off with the same algorithm. 2r, u, 2r, ui, 2r. And I'm going to stop there halfway through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shimmy the puzzle over by 1. So I'm going to do a u here and then a d. Now let's go ahead and do the entire algorithm once. So I'm doing the entire algorithm inside half of the first algorithm. So the same algorithm, 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. Now I complete it by doing UI, D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and then this moves back. So now what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and move it back from where I put it before. So I moved it one over here, so I'm going to move it back to a UI and back to a D. And now I'm going to complete the first algorithm, which is the same as the middle algorithm, but I'm going to complete it. Remember, I just went to 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, and then I did my U's, and then I did that same algorithm, and now I've moved it back, so I'm going to go ahead and complete the original algorithm, and that's going to be UI, D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and move that back over here. And now let's see what we did. This is going to move back over here, and here's what's interesting. This stayed the same, this stayed the same, this stayed the same, and this stayed the same. These two swapped. Now the reason why I suspected something like that was going to happen is that by offsetting that, it retained the position of others. So basically this here, this green and orange came from here, and this purple and red came from here. So these two swapped. So by doing that slight variation of the adjacent corner swap, it swapped these two corners. So now I have a way of swapping these two. Now bear in mind, I'm not actually swapping these two. When you do an adjacent corner swap, you're not really swapping corners. If I were to do that over here, that 2R U, 2R UI, 2R, turn over here, 2R UI, 2R U, 2R, and this turns back over here. What actually happened is these two didn't really swap. What actually happened is this stayed the same. This went to here, this went to here, and this went to here. So it appeared that it swapped. This actually ended up on the right side over here. So, oh, wrong one. 2R U, 2R UI, 2R. This turns here. 2R UI, 2R U, 2R. Move this back over here. So this did not change positions, but what was here went to here to line up with this. This went to here, and this went to here. So it appears to be a corner swap. So these two didn't exactly swap. What happened, remember this was over here, what happened is a couple stayed the same and you had some internal motions that kept the relative position. So that's what happened when I did an algorithm inside, sandwiched inside the same algorithm. And it caused these to swap over here. Now it did move these edges around, but that's actually okay. We have ways of moving that. So I'm going to go ahead and swap this back. Same thing. I'm going to start with this guy. Now notice something else as well. Which of these edges were not affected? This one wasn't, and this one wasn't. These two edges were not affected by the algorithm, but this was, this was, this was, and this was. So let's do it again. 2R U, 2R UI, 2R. That's the first part. Stop there. Move this to a U and a D. Now do the entire algorithm once. 2R U, 2R UI, 2R UI DI, 2R UI, 2R U, 2R, and this moves back. Now we do our U and our D, and now we just complete the algorithm. And that's going to be UID, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. This moves back. And now this one moves back as well. It appears to move back, but, well, anyway, you get the picture. So having done that, once again, you can see that all these are now back in. This and this did not get moved, but these did. And we can move those back in accordingly. So I now have what I think are enough algorithms, which is just two, to move these guys around and these guys around. So I'm now going to throw caution to the wind and scramble this. But I'm not scrambling it as a professor version. I'm scrambling it as a 3-layer version right now. Because right now I want to make sure that I can solve that to act as a backdrop. And to be honest with you, if I had the 3-layer version, I wouldn't even be scrambling the professor version until I've mastered the 3-layer. Now, just because I have algorithms in my mind about this does not mean that there won't be complications. Does not mean that there won't be difficulties with this that might have to do with positioning. But at least I have a backdrop of algorithms, and it is notably more difficult when you can only do 180-degree turns. You have less degrees of freedom. Okay. So let's separate these out here. What do we think? Pretty good? Pretty good scramble. Now, you realize it's not completely scrambled, but it's scrambled enough. So how are we going to do this? Actually, I think maybe I can scramble this a little bit better. Splat and clunk. Okay, so the first thing to look at is, because this is a 3-layer puzzle, and because it's a domino type puzzle that I'm scrambling it as, is I have a middle layer that doesn't scramble with any other sides. It only scrambles with itself. So 180-degree turn should bring this back in. So I'm going to get the middle layer first. So where's the red? It's right over here. It's not hard to find, and this is not the hard part. So I need a purple, so this blue doesn't belong here, it belongs here. Bang. So now this is all in over here. Where's the other purple? It's here, so I'm going to move this in position. So now this purple is in position to come to here. Splat. Okay, where's the other green? It's right here. So that's in. And now this pink side is done. This blue and this orange just need to rotate. So that just kind of got us in the mood for solving, but basically we now have the middle layer. This is done purely by positioning. What I'm going to do now is, the nice thing about a domino is the first layer is done just by a sliding U technique, and that's just done by positioning. We don't care what's happening here, we just want to solve this layer here. So here's the yellow and purple. That's got to come up to here. So I don't want to offset the middle, so I'm going to move it out of the way, double turn this down, bring it in, double turn it back up. So we're good. We want to get the blue one in, double turn, move the blue one in, move it in. So right now I'm just putting the edges in. What else do we have? We have red, double turn the red down, move it in, and double turn it up. So that's good. Now, the original reason why I used to record these videos is to document my techniques of doing what I'm doing so that I can remember what I did. And thinking if it helps other people, I'll just post them. Even if you don't have these puzzles, the techniques and the strategies might be helpful to you. Plus, it allows you to see if you have an opportunity to get this puzzle if you want to buy it. So this is in, last is the pink. So this is also similarly an easy part. So these guys are all in. The placement of the corners is also straightforward using a sliding U. This is pink and orange. Pink and orange is going to find its way to here. Put it opposite where it's supposed to be. Do a 2R. Then slide the U to an L position, do a 2L. Slide it back to an R position, 2R, back to an L position, 2L, and now this is in, and the good news is it did not disrupt anything here. This is already in. Let's see, we've got a green and a purple, that's going to find its way to here. 2R, slide the U to the L, 2L. Slide the U to the R, 2R. So the first layer is generally straightforward, and you can almost always do a sliding U technique. No problems. No problems. Okay, green and orange, 2R, slide it to the L, 2L. Slide it to the R, 2R, slide it to the L, 2L. And again, we're not offsetting the middle layer over here, so we've got a purple and red. That wants to be right here. 2R, slide it, 2L, slide it. Now all of this is lulling us into a false sense of security because we have that bear of the last layer. We've got one more that we can easily place. And turn. Okay, so far it was a pretty straightforward solve of the first 2 layers. So now we take a look at this and how we're going to do this. Well, knowing the parity of the puzzle, there's probably at least 2 corners that are already in, which is over here. So I can move this over to here. So what belongs here, we've got a purple and red. Where is the purple and red? It's right here. So I know I can swap these 2 and get the purple and red in. So that's what I'm going to do. Swap these 2, and I know what I need to do that. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. Stop there and do a U and a DI. Now do the entire algorithm. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, UI, D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. This moves back. And now we undo what we did. Move this to here. 1, 2, 2R, complete the algorithm. UI, 2R, U, 2R. This moves back. Move this back, and indeed this is in. So good, 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 good. We need red and blue. Red and blue is right here. Here is orange and pink. Orange and pink is here. So I can swap these two and at least get this orange and pink over here. So to swap these two, I'm going to move it from here. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. Do a U and a D. Do the algorithm again. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. Now we just position it to complete the algorithm. 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and splat. Now let's see where we're at. Okay, so this is in, this is in, this is in, this is in. So this is a little window into how these algorithms are generated, but now we have a problem. We've got to swap these two. Well, we know that we can swap two. We just can't do it in this configuration. We can't do it like a cube version. So now we have to figure out what we need to do to get these in position to do a proper swap without destroying anything else. So even though we've got algorithms, and even though we feel comfortable in generating algorithms, whether they're cuboid or cubic, we still have the challenge of positioning. So it was important to know what these algorithms do, what they affect and what they don't affect. So basically what I need to do is I need to get this guy and move him over here or move him over here. And the way that I'm going to do that, because that way I can do the swaps, the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take this, I'm going to move this down by doing a 2R over here, and then I'm going to reposition this to bring this in line with this over here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to move this in like so. So now these two are in line to be swapped. But remember, by swapping these, we're going to affect the edges, and I don't want to affect this edge. But if I hold it here and do the swap, as you recall, this isn't affected, and this isn't affected. So this should be safe. I just have to remember to bring it back. And I remember to bring it back basically by doing the turn that brings this here. So this will be the first turn, basically. So let's go ahead and swap this, and it shouldn't affect this in the algorithm that we've generated. So it's going to be 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. Stop there and do a U and a D. Offset it by one click, so to speak. And now do the algorithm. 2R, the standard algorithm. U, 2R, UI, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. Okay, now get it reset up. 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. I was just completing the original algorithm. This turns back, and this turns back, and now what we're going to do is we're going to get this back. So we're holding it here, and we did a 2R, and do 3 clicks to bring it back, and 2R. Lo and behold, this isn't affected, and I did indeed swap that. So classically in this puzzle, you run the risk of having these two. Just doing that repositioning allowed me to do that kind of a swap, bringing it down, taking it 3 clicks, bringing it back up, which took this well out of the way over here. So now I have to coordinate these guys. So I know the algorithm that'll take this to here, and this to here. So what needs to go where? What can make it easy? Well, this blue can go here, so that's where it needs to be. This pink has to go here. However, this pink will only go here with the algorithms that we use, because these stars here will swap with each other, just like they did over here with the Star of David. So what I need to do is take this pink and move it to here, because then this purple will end up over here. the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to turn this like so, move it one click this way, and turn it back. Now we don't need to fear the corners because the corners won't change, and I don't need to fear this edge because this edge does not participate. This, and this will not participate in the movement of this, and this. So I should be able to just turn this back and, you know, remember what I did. So I'm going to turn it twice so that this pink can end up here, this purple can end up here, and this blue can end up here. So this algorithm, as you recall, is 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U. Okay, that's 1. I'm going to do it once more so this purple can end up here. 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U. Is it a new algorithm? Not really, because it's just a derivation. So this is good, this is good. Now I have to remember what I did. And I believe I did something like this. And even if I forget, which I kind of did, I know that this can line up with here. And then I'll move this one click over here and curse splat. So sure enough, this is good, and this is good. So now I've got these three. Some of them are next to each other, so I just have to move them around. So let's see. This red can go here. This orange will have to go here. So I'm going to take this, move it one click this way, and move it back. These two will be protected, and I'm going to keep moving this around until this red ends up here, this orange ends up here, and this green ends up here. 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U. Once more. 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U. Okay, after doing that, I just take this orange corner, place it to here, curse splat, and we move this one click this way, turn it in, and it's done. So lo and behold, we've now solved the 3-layer version. So now I have a good degree of comfort regarding how to solve the 3-layer hexagonal prism type puzzle. Now, how to translate that to a complete solve of the master version. And that's going to come later. Thanks for watching.